Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Computer Science Classes by Nikhil Srivastav. So in this video we will continue our discussion of copy constructors, and copy constructors which we saw were used to initialize one object. We saw in the previous video that if one object is used to initialize another object, then a constructor is not called. Instead a copy constructor is called. This much is clear. And now I also said, if you remember the previous video, I said something like this, that if you have dynamic memory allocation in your class, then it is important that you overload the copy constructor, because it can result in some kind of erroneous situation. So what kind of erroneous situation it can result? Let us try to understand this. For example, over here I have a class, and what is the name of the class? It is the student class, and inside the student class I am not keeping a string, I am instead creating a pointer to a string. I am not keeping a string, instead it is a pointer to a string. So let us go and create an object of the class. What is the name of the class? Student. And suppose I create an object of the class and say its name is Nikhil, and age is, say, suppose 21. This way I write, and s1 dot display student. Okay, this is what I do. And if I just go clean and build and run this application, so the output is very clear. This is just the simple beginning when we are trying to understand this. So if I run this, you know, the name of the student is Nikhil and the age of student is 21. So I will just go to print and I will take a new I don't want to save it, and I will take a new suppose my object I have created, that is the S1 object. S1 object, and S1 object is saving a pointer. That means it is saving an address. Suppose the address is 2050 and it is saving the name as Nikhil, and to which, so 2050 is the address of the string name, and that I have initialized it to Nikhil. Okay, it is something like this. Alright, so now your object is not containing the string Nikhil. Instead I have created, you see, I have created a pointer to a string. I have created a pointer to a string. When you create an integer pointer, it is a pointer to integer. Similarly, when you create a pointer to a string, that means it will store the address of a string. So that is happening in this case. Suppose Nikhil, the string, is stored at memory location 2050. Then over here also we see that the S1 object is not containing Nikhil, it is containing the address, that is 2050. Now I use the copy, I write something like this. I create another object of student class S2 and initialize it through S1. That means the default copy constructor will be called, which we saw in the previous video. So if the default copy constructor will be called, so that means S2 will, over here the default copy constructor will perform the bit by bit copying, and once it performs a bit by bit copying, it will write over here 2050 and it will write over here something like this, 21. Over here it is correct, and suppose I write s2 dot display student. If I write like this, then it is clean and build, and once I run this application, you see for both of them the name is Nikhil and the age is 21. But now what I do, so what problem it can have over here is that, suppose you access the name of this student, then you cannot access the name directly, you have the address to the name, and inside the address if you go and you change the name to be Nikhil, it was initially Nikhil, and you change it to be, suppose you change it to suppose you changed it to Nitin. Okay, you have changed this name to Nitin. That means now S2 is also containing the address 2050, and for S2 the name will also become what? It will become Nitin. If you are not able to understand, then I will write an instance method over here. What instance method? Void change name and suppose age, change name and age, and then inside this change name and age I will take a string name and I will take an argument age. Alright, and then I will write something like this. What I will write, the current object name, how will access it, this arrow name will be equal to suppose name, and here if you observe, this arrow name will give me the address and star operator gives the value at address. So here if I say star this arrow name, then that what this will this mean, and I will just explain it graphically. I will just say this arrow age is equal to age. I will just something like this. Okay, so so now if I write something like this, s1 dot change name and age, and I change the name to be Nitin and I change the age to be 25, what will this mean? When you call s1 dot change name and age, naturally this method will be called, and what you are writing in this method, if you just observe the first line, this arrow name, that means the name of the current object, and you are using the star operator, that means the value at this address will be equal to the new name, that is Nitin. That means over here instead of Nikhil, Nitin will be written. And now what you are saying, this arrow age, you are calling this s1 dot change and name. That means this arrow age will mean the age of s1, and now the age of s1 will become what? It will not be 21, it will become 25. Okay, like this. Now I copy it and I paste it over here, and then I write s1 dot display student and then s2 dot display student. If I do something like this, then can you guess what will be the output? Suppose I clean and build this application. Oh, there is some errors. Okay, what is, okay, I have not given the semicolon. Alright, I will just again run this application, and I will run this application. I think it will run now. Yeah, it is running fine. So now if you observe, when I'll just so that it is clear, I will move it over here. First you said s1 dot display student, for s1 name was Nikhil and the age was 21. Then you said s2 dot display student and s2 was copied from s1, so the name is Nikhil and the age was 21. This was performed by the default copy constructor, which performed a bit by bit copying. Then I said s1 dot change name and age. Then when the address, at this address the name was changed to Nitin, and that address was stored in s2 also. So that means for s2 also the name has changed to Nitin, but see, the age of the s2 object is still 21, but its name has changed to Nitin. Why? Because for the name I was not storing the hard coded name, I was storing the address. So in this case it is imperative for me to overload the default copy constructor. So how I am going to overload the default copy constructor? I am going to overload it like something like this. What is the name of the class? It is student, and then const student reference s. This reference s will be used to initialize the new object. So inside the new object, this arrow name, it will be equal to new string, and what's s dot name. I will try to explain what I have written over here. So s dot name, when I say s dot name, so s dot name means whose name. See, we are overloading the default copy, we are overloading the copy constructor. That means when I'm at this line, the copy constructor is being called, and inside this copy constructor the s1 object is being passed as a reference to s. So when I say s dot name, that means what does it means? That means 2050. And when I write star s1 dot name, that it means the value at this address, and the value at this address is Nikhil. So now you are using the new operator. So when you are using the new operator, that means a new piece of memory will be allocated and the address of that new piece of memory will be stored in the S2 object. So how will this happen? This will happen something like this. For example, the new memory location is, say, suppose 3070, and here also the value will be Nikhil, and here not 2050 will be stored, instead over here 3070 will be stored. Okay, the address of the new memory that was allocated, the address of the new memory. See, this was my new memory that was allocated. Okay, like this. All right, and then I will say the age is not dynamically allocated, so I can write equal to s dot age. This is valid. Okay, so this is perfectly valid. So now once when I go and run this application, I have overloaded the default copy constructor. Okay, so now if I go and run this application, clean and build, and now I run this application. Yes, see over here. Okay, yeah. When I said s1.display student, what was the output? Name is Nikhil, age is 21. When I said s2.display student, because copy constructor was called over here, because the copy constructor was called, the name was still Nikhil and the age was 21. However, now when I say it was s1.display student, because I have called s1.change name and age, that means at 2050 memory location Nitin was written, but my dear friend was at 3070 memory location, this value was overridden. No, it remained to be the same. That is why when you say s1.display student, it is displaying Nitin comma 25, and when you say s2.display student, it is displaying Nikhil and 21. So this way it is, when you dynamically allocate memory, some memory in your class, then it is imperative, that you overload the default copy constructor. So I can write it on notepad also. I can write something like this: when you dynamically allocate some memory, then it is for us to overload the default copy constructor. Okay, like this. All right, so thank you so much for watching my videos, and please do keep on watching my videos, and please subscribe to my videos. Thank you so much.